Good afternoon and welcome to our sunset safari. My name is Tristan and on camera today I've got Senzo Socks Mkizi, who has decided this afternoon to wear his very finest pair of socks, which we'll get into just now. Now remember, we are coming to you live, which is hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, the YouTube chat, if you want to be able to chat to us or you want to ask any questions about what's going on. Now Senzo, since we've started with an S in the Steenbok, I think socks are a perfect time to come out. The clouds are starting to break. There was a bit of sunshine earlier, so Senzo's decided to whip out his best and finest pair of socks this afternoon. Come on Senzo, socks out. I did my socks this morning, you've got to do your socks now. Here we go. So Senzo's got his socks out, and they are very patriotic socks. Look at that, we've got the South African flag socks, so we've got patriotic socks this afternoon. We also have another member of the crew driving around with us this afternoon, and you might have noticed his little eyes sticking out in the dashboard. That is Pooji, the emoticon speaker that gives us a lot of entertainment, and well, it's just for a bit of vibiness, as Megan says. Before we go out and drive in the parking lot, we kind of put a bit of music and get ourselves into the swing of things. So Pooji's riding along this afternoon, and we thought he would look quite cool under the dashboard with his little white eyes poking out. So he's going to be riding, and hopefully he'll bring us some good luck, because well, there's lots of potential this afternoon. We're going to probably just do our time lapse quickly. Hello little male Steenbok, you very relaxed. Are you going to run away from us or stay there? How relaxed is the Steenbok? That's ridiculous. Nope, he's not running anyways. This is my piece of grass. I'm not going to run away. You can see he's got his nose down sniffing. I wonder if he's looking for his female companion who's around. They're also mating at this time of the year, so much like the duiker, they're also looking to mate and to find females, so that's maybe why he's sniffing so much. Maybe he's picking up the scent of where a female has walked, and that's going to lead him to a mating opportunity. See how he smells all the little branches? He's not actually eating. Maybe that's also why he's not running for us. Too preoccupied with the scent of a lady to worry about this big vehicle that is close by. And like I said, it's probably the most relaxed Steenbok we've seen in a long time. He's in no way scared of us at all. But I was saying that this afternoon is full of promise and hope. We had Hosana at Twin Dams this morning, the Nkuhuma with her cubs around just north of the lodge, and the hyena den was active. So lots of different things that we can try and schedule for this afternoon. What I want to try and do is probably head towards the Nkuhuma Lioness and her fluffy little cubs and see if we can get a view of them this afternoon to start with, because remember that sighting will close when it starts to get dark, which will be fairly early this afternoon with the cloud cover that we've got. And then we're going to head southwards towards probably Husana and try and get a little bit more time with him than the last 2-3 minutes that we had this morning. Apparently he was left very sleepy, all curled up in a tiny little ball in the same place, and there was lots of alarm calls apparently to the north of him. So I'm pretty sure Tumba's around, and I wonder if we're not going to get Tumba Hosana 2.0 this afternoon. So we'll head in that direction a little bit later to see if we can find the two young gentlemen of Djuma. But before we do all of that and we get too interested in all of the other things, what we need to do is we need to go and do our time lapse. So I'm going to take Senzo to do our time lapse so we can do that, and then we'll have that out the way, and then we can get into the serious stuff. Now I believe a lot of you are very, very fond of Senzo's socks. I know they are patriotic. I do like them too. Senzo, you've done a sterling effort today, buddy. Well done. So it's always good to be patriotic, and I quite enjoy those ones. So those are fantastic. And yes, Pooji is a wonderful addition to the team. He fits right in, as you can see. He's got a perfect space. It's almost like Wendy was designed to house Pooji on the dashboard. So Pooji sits there, he's got his big white eyes, and he just watches over what goes on, and hopefully he, like I say, will bring us lots of luck. The other nice thing about Pooji is if we have some bird calls and things like that, and I no longer have to kind of hold a phone to my head and pretend like I am kind of concentrating on looking at the back end of my phone. I can play it from here, and Pooji will emanate that sound towards all of you and to the camera, and it will be much easier for all of us involved. So he's a good addition. Oh, I'm not sure if it's a he or she yet. I haven't decided. Megan, he or she? Lou? I don't know. Anybody? Not sure. We'll have to think about that. He. I think he. Oh, Megan goes she. I go he. Senzo says, Megan, it's a he. Lou says he. Sorry, Megan. You've been outvoted 3-1. We win. So there we go. Pooji is a boy. So he's going to bring us some luck this afternoon. I can feel it in my bones. There we go. Can make him play a song. I can feel it in my fingers. I can feel it in my toes. Isn't it something like that? Yes, I think there is a song that goes something like that. Now, I won't be the only one out this afternoon. It seems like we might have the Mara as well in full force. It sounds like Brent Smith is going down the hill, and so is Tayla, and I think Jamie's also might even be out somewhere near a river somewhere and crossing that way. So, oh no, Pooji, don't fall. So it seems as though we're going to have a full crew out this afternoon, which will be wonderful, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be very spectacular, given that this morning was anything, well, if we gave anything to go by about this morning, it's going to be really quite wonderful. What's wrong, Senzo? I'm supposed to park closer. No, we want to see your socks. So Senzo thinks that I must park closer so that he can hide his socks, but there's no chance. And you can see Senzo is a colourful character. Not only does he have colourful socks, he's got a bright orange jersey, nice bright green t-shirt. So he really is sporting some colours this afternoon, and he is certainly adding some vibrance to our day. So fashion guru, most certainly. Senzo, you are the fashion guru. Once again, standing by his tree waving. There we go, Senzo. This is going to become a thing now. It's no longer the thumb of the afternoon. It's going to be the socks and Senzo waving at the marula tree, because that's what we keep doing to him. But he certainly is looking very, very spiffy this afternoon, and he's going to be impressing whatever animal we come across. Hopefully they will also appreciate the brightness and bits of joyfulness that Senzo is bringing to this afternoon's proceedings. I certainly have enjoyed it. Now, well done, Senzo. That was very quick. You're becoming quicker than Seb at this rate, which is a mean feat, so very good job. Now, I believe that I was saying the Mara team are out and that Brent Smith is out, and well, he's raring to say hello to all of you, so let's go across to him and see what his plans are for the afternoon.
Hello and welcome to the magnificent Mara. My name is Brent Smith. I have Fergus Clark on camera today, and we're going to go try find that female cheetah that we were so desperately after yesterday, but unfortunately the rain put an end to that. Now we're actually going down the road that was a river, and it's looking a little bit drier today. And if we fail with the female cheetah, we'll probably head back towards this area and see if we get any luck with the Angama pride. So very exciting. We got going a little bit late this afternoon. We had a bit of early rain. Fortunately it wasn't too heavy, so we are able to get out, and let's hope the rain stays away. Now Jamie is all the way on the other side of the river, and hopefully she might have some luck with the Amani girls, or even possibly the Bilashaka boys. For those who don't know, the Amani girls are a pair of female cheetah, and the Bilashaka boys are a coalition of 6 male lions. Oh, here we go, the first bit of fun. Hold on. Whee! Easy does it. Now remember, hashtag Safari Live. If you have any questions from us, we'd love to hear from you. It is a gorgeous afternoon. Tayla is going to be heading down towards the southeast, seeing if she can maybe catch up. I heard there might be a possibility of some wildebeest crossing around the lookout crossings, so fingers crossed there that there might be some wildies back in the triangle shortly. So we're going to keep marching towards sort of the southwest, so the complete opposite direction to Tayla. We're going to move along up against the Olololo escarpment and see if we can have any luck there with that female cheetah. Of course, it's also great sausage pride country. Lots of muddy spots here, so I'm going to concentrate on where to go and how not to get stuck. While we do that, it sounds like Tayla has got a special treat for you.
before I even introduce myself, we're going to lose sight of this rhino. Unfortunately, there are quite a few cars here, so I think let's have a little look at the rhino first, and then once we have to reposition, then I shall introduce myself to all of you. But isn't this fantastic? Isn't this incredible? There we go. You can see someone's head and screen. It's very crowded here. Hello everybody, my name is Tayla, and on camera with me today is... We're going to go with Cutthroat Craig. I think we're going to make that stick, aka Batman. Sometimes people call him Craig, but not really. No, this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now from the Mara Triangle in Kenya, and we're very happy to have you. So if you have any questions for us, remember hashtag. Did I say that already? Hashtag Safari Live? I think I may have said that already, but it doesn't matter. And you can chat to us on the YouTube chat. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to get a view of these rhinos, because we can't really go off-road here. It's a high usage area, so we've got to stick to the tracks. And there's many cars in front of us, and I don't know. Let me see, Craig. Let me see if I can do a little bit of positioning. But we'll try. How's that gap through these two cars? I'll go a little bit more. There we go. Look how incredible that is. Now there's two of them here. One was most certainly a male. I didn't really get to have another proper look at the other one. But it could be either way. It could be... Oh, there we go. We can have a look on the left. This will give us a chance to zoom in, to double check. Well, yes, that looks very much like a female. So it is a male and a female that have obviously joined up. Perhaps this lass is coming into estrus, and the male is perhaps starting up in the courtship process, which would be very cool to see. I've only seen rhinos mating once before, and white rhinos, not even black rhinos. So wouldn't that be quite exciting? And it's the first time I've seen them out in the open like this. This is really, really amazing. Oh my goodness, you won't believe our luck. A gap has opened up. Wow. So we're just going to be a little bit patient. One more vehicle is moving, and then we're just going to let them reverse, and then we're going to jump back onto the track. Actually, we're going to do it right now. We're going to steal a sneaky spot, and we're going to stay on the track too. Okay, so I'm just going to park like this. So they're walking away from us, but that's okay. And we're going to keep our distance. We're actually not going to follow them for too long. And the reason for this is because our plan is to head to the far west, where rumblings from, I don't know how Brent gets all his intel, but Brent has whispered to me that apparently there are some wildebeest that have crossed back from the Mara National Reserve back into the Triangle. So we're going to go see if we can find them. There are lots of lions down in that area, so it could be quite exciting. Will tonight be the day that I get to see my first takedown from start to finish in the Mara? Because can you believe it, I have not seen a kill yet. Not that it's necessarily my favorite thing, but it's still quite interesting to learn about the various hunting techniques that the different lions use in the different areas. So that'll be quite nice. But I thought it would be a great way to start our day off with one of the endangered species of Africa. And you can see they're living quite well here. They're nice and healthy. There's lots of vegetation for them to browse on. And you can see that these rhinos have actually, well, a part of research. They've got notches in their ears, so they were obviously darted, and blood samples were taken, and I'm sure they have their own ID somewhere, hidden safe. Very cool though. Wow, and I really hope you're taking as many screenshots as you can, because it's not often that we get to see them out in the open for such a long time either. Absolutely beautiful. Now I could spend all day with these animals. It was one of my favorite things to do down in the Eastern Cape, was sit and watch them. Huge horse fan? Are you wondering how long are they pregnant for? You're just wondering? You would like to wonder as much as you like. Well, the gestation period for a black rhino is just a month less than the white rhino, so it's 15 months. It's quite a long time. White rhino is 16 months. But really, it's so close. I mean, what's a month? They've been wallowing as well. They look like they've obviously sat in a bit of mud during the day, and now they're up and feeding. Isn't this great? Now, James, you're wondering how long is the courtship process for a black rhino? I'm trying to think. On the reserve that I worked with, we actually only had males. We didn't have any females. Well, we did, and unfortunately she died of natural causes, not from poaching or anything. So I wasn't able to witness the courtship of a black rhino. I would imagine it would be only a short couple of days, maybe 3 to 5 days or so, and maybe quite similar to the white rhino. I'll have to have a little look. I did see quite a few black rhinos in the Sabi sand in the south, but they were so skittish, it was always at a distance, or charging through a line sighting, which I suppose is pretty good. How's that scenery? All those tall trees, the grass is lovely and green, fallen trees. It really is stunning out here. Well, and the fact that you've also got two black white rhinos. Two black rhinos walking through your screen. Look at those pointy lips. Perfect for nibbling off the leaves. I wonder what shrub they're eating over here. Has anyone ever seen the rhinos when they eat euphorbias? It's something that I used to watch them do quite a bit. It's one of their favourite foods, in fact. They eat quite a large amount of the euphorbia, and that is present in this area too. Now, Lara, you said that they are beautiful and they are prehistoric looking. They are. Rhinos haven't really changed much in their design for millions of years. So they really are one of the prehistoric creatures out here. Almost armor-plated. But we sadly are going to have to move off from here. We've got a long way to go still to get to the southwestern corner of the triangle in hope to find some wildebeest, which will be nice because I've seen a total of 12 wildebeest today, and they were up on the escarpment. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, he's got a bit of a split. Yeah, we might be able to recognize him. Right, I'm going to see you all a little bit later, hopefully once I've arrived at my destination. I'm going to send you all the way to South Africa now, to dear Tristan, and I wonder if there are any clouds looming in the sky.
There are some clouds looming in the sky, Tayla McCurdy, but they are fairly innocuous at this stage. They're a bit split apart, but sort of broken up. There's nothing really too threatening in these clouds, so I don't think we're going to get too much more rain. I think it was just that little bit that we had this morning, which was really not enough, like I say, to even settle the dust after the dryness that we've had over the last few months. So at this stage, I think we're going to have a nice weather this afternoon. At least the wind has dropped. So the difference between yesterday and today, and why probably today has been a little bit more successful in terms of the types of animals that we're seeing and the sort of more species that are for what we're seeing, is because the wind is down. So as soon as the wind gets up, a lot of the animals try and find cover. We got lucky that we had the Nkuhuma pride and that the sticks made a kill. But if we didn't have that, it would have been quite a difficult day at the office. But today, no wind, and we're seeing that the leopards are out, because I believe Tingana was seen this morning, Quarantine was seen this morning, Hosana was seen this morning, there was trucks for Tumba as well, so there's a lot of leopards moving around, and hopefully that means that we will find them at some point this afternoon as well. And I'm right near where this lioness was this morning. Buttons, you are asking about the buffalo, if they came into Djuma. Unfortunately not. What happened with the buffaloes, they went back into Manyeleti, so they crossed west into Manyeleti, but I've just heard the update now that they've come back again into Buffelshoek, and they are slowly kind of moving in an easterly direction. Now, in terms of how far they are away from the boundary, they're about 800 to 900 meters north of the boundary itself, and there's no visual from our boundary with them, but I believe the herd is big. The guys say it's a very big herd, so I don't know exactly how many is in it, but they say very big, which I'm hoping means at least 300 plus in that herd, which is good news. Now, the interesting part about it is the way that they're walking. They're about to walk themselves into an unknown pride of lions that is hanging around in Buffelshoek, right on the Manyeleti boundary at the moment, and they think it might be the Telematis, which is the first time I've heard of them in a long time. Apparently there's 3 sub-adult males that are around sort of 2.5, 3 years old, and then there's some younger cubs around a year old, and then 3 or 4 lionesses, something like that. So interesting to see how many there are, and to see what the actual story is, and whether or not they walk straight into those lines, and if those lines then push the buffalo herd southwards back towards us, which will be quite nice. Right, now let's see. There's the termite mound over there, so I'm hoping she's moved slightly out of where we had her this morning, because this morning wasn't so pleasant where she was lying. It was really quite dense. It was nice when the cubs were suckling because we could see their little faces and we could watch them moving around, but I'm hoping that this afternoon she's moved a little bit, she's gotten herself into a place where we can see her quite nicely, and that the cubs will be there as well. I have an idea though that she might have left in these cool conditions like we see now. She might have moved on, and if that's the case, then we're going to be leaving the area immediately. With these cubs, we're not here to try and stress them out in any way. We just want to come and view them with mom, and if mom's not here, then that's the end of that, I'm afraid, and we have to leave the area and leave them to themselves. Okay, so doesn't look like mom is home at this stage. Just want to go forward a little bit. No, I don't think she's here. I want to just check around slightly because, oh, there she is, I can see her. You can see her, Senzo. Now, if you want to see what camouflage is like on a line, do you see where she is? We're going to see how long it takes Senzo to spot this. But, Senzo, if you go that big tall tree in front of me, right over there is where she's sitting in the long grass. So she's just can see her face ever so slightly. It might from your angle be a bit tough, but if you zoom in for me just over there, you'll see just how camouflaged this lioness is. Go, 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 go. A little bit up to your left. Up, up, and there she is. You see her just behind the trees there? There's her back and her head. Incredible. It's amazing the camouflage of a lioness. So you can see why they're difficult to spot sometimes, but luckily she put her head up for us, and that's why we were able to see her. I wonder if the little cubs are this side, or if she's left them behind me here in the drainage, and she's now going to start her movement back towards the Nkuhuma Pride and back towards the west where the rest are. But it would be nice if the little cubbies are out here, because it's going to be very open and we will get a nice view of those little ones from here. And at least she's around. I mean, it's better that she's around. She might do one last suckle, but I don't see any signs of the cubs. And also, I should be in first gear, not in third gear. Otherwise, we're going to stall. No, the little cubs I don't think are here. We would have seen little heads popping up already. So I think they're behind me and back at the den site where she was suckling them. And she's now starting her movement back towards the rest of the pride. So there we go. She's just lying on her own and is taking it a little easy. I'm sure she's been suckling them, she's groomed them, she's made sure that they're well fed, and is making sure that they're going to be okay. And once they're alright, they're fed, they're groomed, looked after, then she's going to now start, like I say, heading back to the pride to be able to see if she can go and get some nutrients for herself. Remember, these little ones are going to drink from her, and they're going to absorb a lot of the nutrients that she's able to produce, and therefore she's going to have a tough time of it. And she's starting to yawn, which means I think she's going to start moving already. I don't think it's going to be too long that she's going to be up and going. Mallow, you want to know how long until the cubs join the pride permanently? Probably another, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks until they'll be joining the pride and moving around, and even then they'll only join for carcasses. In terms of actually walking with the pride, generally it's at about 6 months that they'll start to kind of move with the pride all the time. And there we go, up she gets. You can see she's a little on the skinny side, which is because she's having to move a lot more than the rest of the pride. She's having to go back and forth. You probably find she's also not getting as much nutrients because she's missing out on some of the kills, and so it's a tough life being a mom. But off she goes now. She's going to start striding her way, I think, back towards the west and towards where she came from last night. So it's going to be a long walk back that way, unless the cubs are hidden somewhere there, but I don't think so. Sparto, you're asking what time they usually hunt. Well, there's no specific time for lions or leopards or any of the cats to hunt. They're opportunistic animals. Well, opportunistic animals, which means that they will hunt as soon as they can, when they can. Any opportunity that comes along, they will take it, whether that be night, day, sunrise, sunset, hot, cold, doesn't matter. They just hunt whenever they can and whenever an opportunity presents itself. So could be now she might start hunting. If she sees an impala by herself, you never know, she might try and hunt it by herself, but in all likelihood she's probably going to go to the rest of the pride and they'll then want to start hunting this evening. So we saw last night when we got to the Nkuhuma pride around sunset, that's when they woke up and started to move. But she's definitely left the cubs now. The cubs must be in the den, they must be happy there, and it's okay. We got to see them this morning and it'll be interesting just to follow her along. I don't think we're going to be able to keep her for all the time because she's going to cross a very bad drainage at some point. So we're going to just follow her anyway though and see how she goes and whether or not she goes all the way to the west, because that's going to be a very, very long way to get to where that is. Now while I follow her, let's go back to Brent and see how he's doing on his quest for some of the tawny cats.
Well, we went looking for cheetah and we've come across lions, two lovely ladies of the sausage pride. As I said, you never know what you're going to find, and as you can see, there's some potential meals in the background walking through, some zebra in the distance. Now, I haven't seen these girls stand up yet, so I'm not sure how skinny they are or how hungry they are. Oh, there goes Madam McCurdy rushing past us at a rate of knots. There she goes. There we go. Let's have a look. There you can see Tayla. There she goes. Now, it's not too often we actually see each other out here because it is so big and we cover such vast distances that we can sometimes go a couple of days without actually seeing another vehicle down on the valley floor. Bye, Tayla. Now, Tayla, as I said, is heading down to the southeast, and she's hoping that some of the wildebeest have crossed around Lookout Hill. And I think we're going to stay local. We're going to sit with these girls. I think Jamie had them on a zebra kill a few days ago, but they could be hungry. They do have quite a few cubs to feed. Last count, I think it was 9 in total between the different lionesses of the sausage pride. So we've only got 2 lionesses here. The cubs are probably up closer towards the escarpment. There's a few spots that they really like to hide the cubs in, and so who knows, maybe they'll head that way, or maybe they'll wait for these zebra to come a bit closer. Now there are quite a lot of zebra around, so there's by no means a shortage of food for the sausage pride. Oh, there's some ellies as well, and in the distance we got all happening here. Yeah, so there we go, elephants, and almost just to the southwest of us. And you can hear lots of wonderful sounds apart from the wind. Lots of frogs after that massive amount of rain we had yesterday. You can hear some of the dwarf puddle frogs. You can hear a guttural toad somewhere. Oh, Ferg's found a bird. Oh, there it goes. It was looked like a green or wood sandpiper. I didn't get a good enough look. What has Fergus found now? You found a frog? Oh, he's showing a amount of water. Scotty is wondering, can the zebras not see the lioness? Not if they're not moving. If they're sitting still like they are at the moment and at that distance, they're probably not going to spot the lions. You never know. There's a chance. But there looks like a little zebra argument going on over there at the back with that little group. In family discussion about where to go. Now that'll be the stallion. There we go. Kick. That'll be the stallion trying to sort out his ranks. So with zebras, it's absolutely fascinating. The oldest female must lead, and if she doesn't, and one of the younger females tries to lead, he will bite and kick the rest of the harem into place. So even once that oldest female is way out in front, there will be a set order that he likes the rest of the herd to follow in, and the stallions will generally bring up the rear. Now, not always the case, but quite often the case, and especially when they're moving in straight lines. There will be lots of... Oh, at the back, he's sorting someone out again. There we go. Someone's out of place, kicking and biting, making sure they stay in place. Now, zebras can be really, really aggressive. And so here we go, and waiting. Let's see if anyone steps out of line. And I'll get sorted out quickly. Now, we can never be 100% certain, but it's generally thought that the oldest female leads. She's got the most experience in avoiding predators, so that's the reason why she leads at the front, and that's why the stallion wants to try and make sure that his harem isn't less one come time that they come into estrus, and of course he wants to have as many babies as possible. The zebras are a bit far at the moment for the lions to sort of spring up immediately and start stalking. Also, the terrain isn't in their favor. You can see, especially now that it's still light, very short open grass there, and they would definitely be spotted if they got up and started walking towards where the zebra are heading. OD Farming is wondering, is there a tourist on the back of our vehicle with you? No, OD, that is our Askari or our ranger. When we operate after park times, we have to have a park ranger with us. So the third person on the back of Tayla's vehicle was Sammy, who's one of the rangers who comes out with us at night. So no visitors, just cameramen. And who's on? Oh, it's Craig and Tayla and Sammy, their ranger for the evening. Well, these lions look like they're going to hunker down for a bit. And here's some upset lapwings in the distance. Scotty would like to know, will a zebra herd assist another zebra that's being attacked? Depends on the situation. A male or female zebra from the same harem will attack something small like a hyena or a cheetah, or even a leopard. Wild dogs sometimes that are attacking a member of their herd, but with lions they won't. They'll generally move off as fast as possible. I'm sure as it gets... Oh, what's that? Is that a warthog walking this way? Now, you see where I'm looking, folks? So just to the right of the lions. So, yeah, zoom now, a little bit more to the right. There we go. About center frame now. What is that there? Oh no, that's not. It's a secretary bird, and she's getting bombarded. That's what all the commotion from the lapwings are. So of course, if they've got little chicks there, secretary bird is a predator, and although they normally eat snakes and lizards and rodents, a baby lapwing would go down quite the treat. You can see how upset all the birds are. It looks like, I can't see at this distance what the smaller birds are, probably testiculars, are also very upset with her presence in the area. You can see how that crown is up, agitation, flustered from being attacked. Here comes the next load of bombardment coming. I think she's out of the danger zone. So obviously where the chicks or the eggs are, the secretary bird has moved beyond, so they're not attacking her as aggressively. So let's head all the way back to South Africa to find out what Tristan is up to.
Well, our Lioness has gone stationary for the time being. She's just having a little sit down. We haven't gotten too much further than where we were just now. She kind of moved along, lay down, and then was up again, and now down for a little bit. I don't think she's going to be down for too long. You can see she's still looking around and is quite awake. She's staring into the distance and checking what's going on, and she's really not that sleepy, quite wide-eyed as you can see there. So I don't think she'll be down for too much longer. I'm pretty sure she's going to be up and moving, and she's got a long way to go from where I gather the Nkuhuma Pride is. They're close to the Simbambili Arathusa cut line, but quite far to the west, so she's got a long trek in order to find them. I'm sure she's hoping that they're going to come east. Oh, I spoke too soon. It's now down to sleep again, but I'm sure they hoping they come east, and then I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a buffalo is on the menu at some point. Hopefully, like I said, that Pride of Lions in the north chases those buffaloes south and into the waiting jaws of the Nkuhuma Pride here on Djuma, because that would just be the perfect way for our evening to play out. Of course, the Nkuhuma Pride would probably only hunt that buffalo away after drive, but tomorrow morning even, it's fine. The Nkuhuma Pride can wait until the morning, and as we get going, then the buffalo can come and we can have a showdown between the two of them. And judging by the looks of the Pride, they really could do with a nice big meal. It's amazing though how lions can go from emaciated and thin and looking a little bit on the sort of side of skinny to completely fat and healthy after one meal. We saw the Styx Pride yesterday and how they were big barrels after their waterbuck, and it would be the exact same for the Nkuhumas. If we had to get a buffalo carcass for them, they would be massive by the time they finished it. They would be really in great condition again. So muscular structure is really good. It's just that she's a little bit on the skinny side because of all this moving that she's been doing up and down. So I'm pretty sure she will hope for a buffalo carcass, because it means that she can have a good feed, come and suckle the cubs, go back, feed again, and keep that nutrient level up for these little ones so that they stay fat, happy, and healthy, which is what we want as well. We want our cubs to be healthy and to survive. And you know, she's in a period now where it's the most dangerous part for these cubs. The first 3 months is very difficult for a lioness. She's got to go back and forth, and she expends masses of energy trying to look after these little ones and trying to keep up with the pride and keep nutrient levels up, and then still supply that to the cubs and make sure that they're surviving well as choosing the right places to leave them in order for them to stay safe. You can see now she's leaving those cubs all on her own. She's going to go and try get back to the pride, and those cubs are going to have to fend for themselves for the next 24 hours or so until she comes back. Hopefully it won't be 24 hours. They generally should be coming back every sort of 12 hours. We see them moving backward and forth, but it could be 24 hours, a full day, until she gets back to where they are. And then you'll find a situation where, you know, she's got to provide nutrient-rich milk for them to survive, and who knows what moves through here at that time. There could be hyenas that come through, leopard, other lions, and so those cubs are really at a dangerous point in life. The other problem that she's got is that she's the only lioness denning. Remember last year when the Nkuhuma Pride denned, there was 2 lionesses pretty close together that denned, and then a third one about a month later, so it wasn't really too long until the third one was, and so those 3 could help each other and share the responsibility, and they also moved around as a unit, which meant that hunting wise they were able to bring down small prey animals, and also the droughts helped in that they could bring down buffalo, and that meant that the cubs grew quickly because these guys were providing nutrition for them, and they were able to kind of stay in close proximity, which is a little bit different to what we're seeing this year. OD Farming, you're wondering why she's the only lioness with the cubs. Well, it's quite simple, is that the 3 lionesses that we know have the cubs currently, so those sub-adults, and they're still dependent on those lionesses. So those lionesses are not going to come into estrus probably for another, I would say, 6 months to a year, maybe even longer, until they'll come into an estrus and start mating again. So it's going to be a while if all those cubs survive, or all those sub-adults survive. So those lionesses are going to be a while. The only other 2 lionesses is this one and Amber Eyes. Amber Eyes, we don't know. I mean, we've never really seen her with a cub. There was that one mystery cub in the middle of the year, I think it was in June, that no one's really sure what happened or where it came from or what its outcome was, but that could theoretically have been Amber Eyes' cub. It must have been Amber Eyes' cub if we think of the time frame, because this lioness must have been pregnant at the time. And so That cub, unfortunately, is no longer. There's no ways that cub is alive, and it means then that Amber Eyes really is the only other female that could potentially have a chance to have cubs, and she would have had to have mated, which means that she's falling outside of the time that this female is having cubs. So even if she's mating now, it's still going to be 3 months time until she gives birth to hers, and so it's they haven't been quite in sync. So that's why she's the only lioness with the cubs currently, or new cubs. There's no real sort of other lionesses that can potentially produce now and in the time frame while she's having hers. So I mean, Amber Eyes, it would be such a nice thing if she did produce cubs, but as far as we know, she never has, and it will be really interesting if she ever will, because I suppose that little cub was hers. I mean, it can't be anybody else's. If we just do the maths, it has to be her cub, because this lioness, there's no way she could have mated and fallen pregnant and had these cubs in that time frame. We're far too close to that time for her to have mated again and had cubs. So it has to have been Amber Eyes' cub, and maybe she can produce cubs, and in the future we will see her bringing cubs up and raising cubs. When we saw her yesterday, she did have signs that she'd been mating, but a few bite marks on the back of the neck, and so I wonder if maybe she hasn't started mating again, and we'll see her falling pregnant. It would be nice if she did, and it would be also nice for this female if she then denned in the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks, if she had fallen pregnant from the mating and was in this area and helping this female out. Because it's interesting that Amber Eyes and this female must have had a very tight bond last year, because when the Nkuhuma Pride spent so much time here on Djuma, we used to find Amber Eyes and this female often roaming around together in random places. Even the beginning of this year, used to see these two around Treehouse Dam, moving around all over the place, and so they seem to have gotten on and have formed a bond over the fact that they didn't have cubs. And so it would really, I think, help this female if Amber Eyes was around with her, and I'm sure the two of them together would really do very well in raising cubs should they want to. So it would be really nice if she did fall pregnant and have cubs in this sort of time period, and obviously for the growth of the Nkuhuma Pride, the more females that have cubs, the better. But either way, it's out of 5 lionesses, to have 4 of them with cubs currently is really very good, and is a testament to the Birmingham's ability to defend the area. Oh, Laura Moy is saying, you wonder why lions don't bring food to a lioness with cubs. Wolves do it, and the painted dogs or wild dogs, they also will do those kind of things. Well, the thing is about it is because the lionesses, it depends. At the moment, the rest of the lionesses, they're trying to protect their cubs that are at the carcass themselves. So coming back all the way here, expending the energy, leaving that carcass unprotected, or bringing bits of that carcass all the way here is difficult. Remember also that lions are hunting big animals. They hunt something like a buffalo. There's no ways that the Nkuhuma Pride can drag a buffalo from Simambili all the way to where we are now. I mean, that's over sort of 7-8 kilometers, and a buffalo weighs almost 2,000 pounds. So even if the entire pride took turns, I can guarantee you they wouldn't even get halfway in a day. So it's going to be, that's the other side of it, is taking food like that is almost impossible. And then the third thing is, if you take food to a den, you are taking a scent to a den. So you're taking the smell of meat and rotting meat, and that means that sort of predators and scavengers are going to follow that scent and come in, and it's going to bring things like hyena, lion, leopard into where the den site is for that female, and it's going to put those cubs at risk. So rather than that, they eat, they make sure that they consume meat, that then gets pushed into the milk nutrients then get transferred to the cubs grow very fast during that first little period, and once they reach that 3-4 month phase, they're then starting to be taken to the carcasses. So the mother comes and fetches them and then walks them all the way to the carcasses, and then they will stay and spend time there, and then they'll follow the moms around. So it's much better system that way. She can look after them a lot better, and they're not also being at carcasses where things like hyenas can arrive and they then endanger. This way she's bringing no scent, she's not having any vultures around, she can suckle them in peace, and there's really little that's going to follow her. You'll also find she's going to use different pathways to get you. She's never going to walk exactly the same, and that means that the hyenas won't be able to track her scent every single time. So she'll go west this time, tomorrow she goes south, the next day she's north, and so it makes it a lot harder for the hyenas to pinpoint where she's coming and going from, and therefore the cubs survive. So, There's all method in their madness. Remember also with den animals like wild dogs and wolves, there is generally one member that is left permanently with the cubs, or the pups should I say, and they can then sort of disorientate a predator and lead a predator away from that area. Lions don't have that ability to do that because they are needed with the hunting, and like I say, they roam quite big distances and they don't use a central point for the den. The den is fairly mobile and gets moved all over the place, as opposed to what we see with things like wolves and wild dogs, where there's a central den and then the pack moves around that area. So just slightly different with them, and it works for both species. Lions are fairly successful. We've seen that, you know, their numbers within the Sabi sands are doing okay. It's just that we've had a lot of different males come through, and that's what's affected them. In terms of den sites and actual females keeping cubs alive, it's actually not been too bad. The Sabi sands, most of the females are pretty good at what they do. It's just, unfortunately, the coalition males have been such a sort of swift turnover that's led to a decline in the population of lions and a decline in all the prides throughout the Sabi sands, really. There's not many prides that have actually grown in the time that I've been here. In fact, the only prides that have grown since I've been here is the Mungen pride, the Mungen breakaway pride, and the Salalas. Those are the only ones that have actually in some way expanded. Every other pride has actually reduced and has no longer the same numbers as to when I started here. So it's an interesting dynamic, and like I say, it's because of the change in coalition males that keep coming through. Alita, you're asking if lionesses from the pride will come back for these cubs if this lioness dies. In all likelihood, no. And the reason why I say that is because none of those females currently have very small cubs. If there was a female that had very small cubs, then it's possible. And there have been sort of outlying cases where females have adopted the offspring of sisters or aunts or mothers or whatever the case may have been. And we know the Charleston female down the south, she adopted her sister's cubs and raised them. So they do it sometimes, but in the case of the Charleston female, her cubs got killed, and I think that mothering instinct, when her cubs got killed, plus the mother of the other cubs, meant that she took on cubs because she was still producing milk. That instinct to mother was still there, and that's why she did it. If it was a lioness that has got older sub-adults that she's still dependent on her, she's not going to now have the burden of trying to suckle cubs because she's not producing milk. Remember, she's got her own cubs to worry about, and so these cubs are still too young to survive without milk. They still need milk up until they're around 6-7 months old, so they need to have a female that's producing milk in order to save them. They're not going to survive just on meat at this age. They need that milk, and they need all the antibodies and all the bits of nutrients that the mom is passing on that's going to help them fight infections and get their digestive tracts working properly, and all of those kind of things. That's all needed before they're able to start consuming meat full time. And it means that, you know, she's got to, unfortunately, unless there's another lioness that has cubs fairly soon and is producing milk, these ones would then be unfortunately left by themselves and not looked after at all. Right, our Nkuhuma female is out cold, so I think we're going to carry on. We're going to leave her be. I was hoping that the cubs would be here. We know that Brent Leo Smith in the Mara has got 2 lionesses there, and it seems like they're on the hunt, so we're going to try and find a spotted creature of our own, and while those lionesses look for food.
Well, we're still with the 2 girls from the sausage pride. They have not moved a muscle. Oh, there we go. She's moved a muscle. I think it's the biting insects that have caused her to move. Lots of biting flies, and we had a hot day today after the rain last night, which will have caused an absolute explosion of insect life. And speaking of that, right next to us, I don't know, let me make them out. There are thousands of little midges. And of course, we're right near some water as well. So, with water and rain and sun comes lots of chochos. For those of you who don't know what chochos are a very sort of a South Africanism, sort of a nickname for bugs. Trying to think. Well, in Swahili they are called dudus. That is the Swahili word for insects or bugs, dudus. When we were little kids, we used to call them nunus. Now, you'll notice as that tail flicks occasionally out of the grass, it's got a very distinct black tuft. Alyssa is wondering, why is the tuft of a lion's tail black? Well, it's lots of different reasons actually, but all of them to do with non-vocal communication. So they're able to signal, cubs are able to follow that through thick grass, and when they're hunting, the black behind their ears and the black tips of their tails are used as ways to communicate. Now, I was talking about bugs. Just look on her belly there. Look at that. As I said, the biting flies are out in force after the rain. And fortunately for us, they're on the lions and not on us, because I think I'd be slapping myself silly trying to get rid of that many flies on me. There you go, you can see she's getting a little bit flustered by them. And that's one of the reasons why quite a few different prides in the Mara like to climb trees. It's to try get up into the breeze and away from all the biting bugs. Oh, very pretty on the horizon, Ferg. A tipple skirch. It's going to be silhouetted again shortly. You see him walking there. Very, very pretty. There's a giraffe walking a little bit to the left. There you should go. There we go. A little bit to the right. There it is. Silhouetted against the lovely orangey pink hue of the western horizon. Now come on, keep walking for the pretty shot. Don't stop for a snack. We have female Maasai giraffe. Oh, there's a few there. Now, I could only see with my naked eye the one that was silhouetted, and there's quite a few snacking around that area. Difficult to see what they're eating on from this distance, I'm afraid. They're probably 700 or 800 meters away from us. Paul is wondering, do we wear any specific type of bug spray while we're on drive? We don't, Paula. Bug spray is pretty much ineffectual against most of the really nasty biting insects. Occasionally I might use some mosquito repellent, but very, very seldom, and not really here. Here we go, a lovely herd of elephants as well, having a late evening snack. It's amazing how much you can see if you're sitting in one spot and you just carefully check all around. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. I'm having a quick scan with my binoculars, seeing if there's something we might have missed. It doesn't look like it, just some zebra, topi, and a pair of Egyptian geese. And you can hear that blip. That's a bubbling casina starting to wake up. As I said, we're right next to where Lugga drains out into the Old Japeta swamp. So we're probably going to hear lots of frogs this evening. And you can see, there we go, a great spot to be if you're a frog. And the frogs are probably one of the only things that are celebrating after all the rain last night. Is that a frog you found there, Ferg? No, I think it's algae. I thought Ferg had found a frog. There's a little click, 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 clicking of stream frogs, and it sounds like puddle frogs, and then you've got that lovely sort of liquid chortle of the bubbling casina, and a not so lovely wah, wah, wah of one of the toads. I'm not sure exactly which. It sounds a little bit too soft to be guttural raucous, and of course there could be a whole host of toad species for me to learn in East Africa. Our lions are still not moving at all. A slight head up every now and then. But not looking like they're about to charge off and go look for something else. Now, quite often at this time of the day, it's not good to be a warthog, and quite a few warthogs sort of get schnacked at this time of the day because they're on their way home, and their home could be amongst any of the many termite mounds that are around here, and they can stumble upon a lion that's fast asleep. But of course, these big cats can wake up in a split second. It's not even a... Oh, there we go, as I said. Now let's have a look at the belly. Oh, not too hungry, but definitely could eat. I actually think that didn't have a good look. She looked like it might be carrying that weight quite far back. Who knows, maybe she's pregnant. But I think it was the flies that caused her to just move and flop a few meters away. This lioness is practicing Zen with the flies. Trying to completely ignore them. Now, of course, as I said, there's quite a lot of zebras and things around. And you can actually see the wear on the edge of the ears from the biting flies. So the animals here are bitten so prolifically that the hair starts to fall out in certain spots where those flies are biting. I'm glad they're biting her and not me. They can be quite painful, those little biting flies. So there's not even a breath of wind. We're starting to get some lovely bird song coming through. I can hear rufous-napped lark. I can hear yellow-throated longclaw. Oh, we can hear a black-bellied bustard. Oh, and as I say that, the wind has picked up and I can't hear any more of the birds. Well, it seems like Tristan's been on such a cat streak, he's decided to go see if he can find something else. Let's go find out.
So thanks very much for that, Senzo, because my comms are not working once again. Our broken earpiece seems to be at its finest effort once again. So it's interesting though to see the differences between the lions and the Mara and the ones here. I was watching some footage this morning. They look absolutely massive, some of them. Some of them look like cubes, as Lou says, walking through the grass, and it's been amazing just to see how different the dynamics are and how fluid the movement is during the migration. It's a lot more fluid than what we see from our lions. Our lions tend to be very stuck together, so quite interesting sort of differences that side. And I'm super jealous of Tayla this afternoon already because she's got to see those black rhinos, and well, obviously black rhino here is the most rare and special thing possible. So we see very, 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 very few black rhinos in the Kruger National Park system, unfortunately. So and she's very fortunate to have got to spend some time with them this afternoon, which is good. Like I say, I'm envious of her, although I'm pretty sure she's going to be envious if we find Hosana just now, because we know Tayla also loves her spotted cats as well. I believe she got to see a leopard in the Mara the other day, which is fantastic. And she's seen all kinds of interesting things: the serval with the hyena on the wildebeest, and the striped polecat, and lots of crazy things have gone Miss McCurdy's way over the last little bit, and I'm sure she's having an absolute blast that side, as well as Jamie and Brent, and it's one of the more louder groups of people together now. Ali, you're hoping to find Shadow and her cub. Ali, I know the guys checked for her this morning, so the guys had a little look and they checked in those areas around Mendoza Road and Impala Plains, Triple M, but unfortunately no sign of her at all. So I think she might still be in either Arethusa or in Hoffman's, somewhere in those areas. It's difficult though to know for sure. We know that she can be quite elusive, so no sign on our side though at the moment. It would be nice to find her though. Certainly would love to see Shadow and the cub again. But I think the one that I want to see the most right now is probably Shongile. That's the female that I would like to see more than any other. I did say last night that if we don't see her and she's staying safe, then that's absolutely fine. But I would really like to see her and really like to spend some time in her general company and just see how she's doing, and just to know that she's okay. It's just one sighting would be fine, and then she can go back to being elusive again. Now, before I go anywhere, there is something that does not belong here in the Sabi Sands, and certainly does not belong on the ground or in the bush, and that is a plastic packet. And so I don't know how this has gotten here, but it is going to not be picked up by us quickly. And Iceman purified ice is certainly not what we want to see out here. Like I said, I'm not quite sure how this got here, but well, it's going to stay in the car from now on. And we make sure that it doesn't blow away, Senzo, so if you can tuck it in there somewhere so that it just stays, that would be pretty good as well. Sometimes what happens is with the wind, when the guys come to fetch the rubbish, because we get trucks that come, then sometimes a little wind gusts and off goes a bit of it, or monkeys raid a bin, or hyenas raid a bin, and then these plastic bags end up unfortunately out here. So it's our prerogative just to kind of pick them up and make sure that we keep this as clean as possible and litter free. This is ultimately the animal's home, not ours, and so we should not impose ourselves too much on them. I thought we were going to have a lot more of a sort of sunnier afternoon. It seems as though it was a lot more, was clearing up at lunchtime, but it's now gotten all overcast and dingy again. I wonder if we will get a sunset. I'm hoping that the clouds do clear, because if we do get a sunset, then we're going to have a situation where it's going to be very pretty with all these clouds lighting up the different colors, and we're going to get a really nice clear kind of view of the sun. RR, you're asking if the roads are made randomly or if they're made by the rangers. Well, RR, the roads are made by basically the landowner, and some of the ecology guys that come together and they try and work out where the best places for roads are. Unfortunately, back in the day, we didn't quite understand a lot of the dynamics within the bush environment and what it takes for roads to be built and where they should be in order to not cause environmental damage. And so some roads are not quite in the right place, but generally there's some planning that goes into them, and then they are built by the ecology teams or even the rangers sometimes as well. So it is a planned thing. These are not just by mistake and not just tracks that are made. These are all planned roads. You will see sometimes little two tracks that go into places, so it looks as though vehicles have driven there. That's generally when we've had a big sighting that's lasted a few days, then a road develops, which is generally because there's been multiple cars going in and out and the grass gets squashed. But as soon as the rain comes, that all rejuvenates and spruces up again, and up comes the grass and everything looks all right and wonderful. I'm just trying to adjust the blankets that I sit on, because the blankets that I sit on are helping me. I don't know, I'd like to be a little higher, and the seats on Wendy and Rusty are both of them. They seem to have lost a lot of their sponge, and you kind of sink into them, and when I got out there the blanket didn't quite go right, and so I had to just adjust that quickly. My apologies for me bouncing around in my seat like a hooligan. The reason why I've come down this road though is because I want to quickly just check on our Wahlberg's eagle pair if they at the nest. I did see them on my way home this morning after drive. They were sitting in the nest and not in the nest, they were just next to it, and it was the pale form individual that was there. The dark form one was flying above, but the pale form one was actually there, and that's the one that seems to be on the nest a lot more. We saw it yesterday on the nest, and so hopefully in this kind of weather being a little bit sort of dingy and grey and dull, maybe one of them will be somewhere where the nest is, and hopefully we can get a view of them. They are beautiful birds, particularly that pale form one. She or he, depending which one it is, very difficult to sex a Wahlberg's eagle. There's no difference between male and female, and so it would be really nice. In fact, both of them are here. I can see them already. I'm just going to try go a little bit forward so we get a better view of them. Hopefully they won't fly away. No, stay there, guys. And they're unfortunately going to be a little bit silhouetted because of where they're sitting and the white sky that we've got, or grey white sky that we've got today. But there they are, sitting on top of the tree itself, although they look like both pale form individuals. Or am I wrong? They do look both pale. Are they both pale? It certainly looks that way. Has our dark form male been chased, or dark form female been traded for a pale form individual? Looks like it. Looks like the plot has thickened. That's interesting. It's definitely two pale form individuals that are busy grooming each other, and it's too early in the season to have a young one already. We know that these guys have only just arrived, so it can't be the chick, but that is really quite strange, because this morning there was the dark form and the pale form together, but you can clearly see there that is two pale form individuals that are grooming each other, and I wonder if maybe the dark form male has been ousted, which would be very unusual. Generally eagles pair for life, so really quite strange. I'm not sure why the dark form male would relinquish this area, or even there would be territorial bouts between them. That's very strange. I honestly say it's the first time I've seen it with Wahlberg's eagles, because generally all the nests that we have in these areas are the same pairs every year. You come and you see the same groupings. I mean, obviously it's quite difficult to tell individuals apart, but you know, the combinations are normally, you can tell because they have these different color forms, and you can normally tell who's who by just looking at those color forms and where they are. And like I said, we know for sure that there was a dark formed one with this light formed one yesterday in the morning and in the afternoon and this morning, so very confused as to why those two are together. I hope something bad didn't happen to our dark formed Wahlbergs. That's not good. I don't know. Well, I suppose two pale form ones are beautiful, but I would have liked it to stay the same and to have the same pair as we always do. But interesting dynamic. I'm going to have to do a bit of research on this. I wonder if Wahlberg's eagles do fight for pairs and will try go after each other. So, Megs, I cannot hear you at all. All I'm getting is every half a word every 3-4 seconds, which is not ideal. So we're going to try and see if we can fiddle with these comms and try and get this right, because otherwise I can't answer any of the questions that you're all asking, which is not ideal. Megs, can we try again? Maybe we can do a little... Roshni, you saying a triangle love story. So there we go, I can copy Megan now. It seems like it. I doubt the dark form male is going to, or female is going to be very impressed with this triangular love story, given that it's not here. But very strange. Like I say, I'll have to do a bit more research. It's the first time I've seen a situation where there's been a individual usurping another and taking over, unless this is a different pair and they've taken this nest for themselves, and the dark form and pale one that we normally see here has moved to a different section. That potentially could happen. Maybe pairs fought and we've now just got a new pair in this area, but very strange indeed. And I'm going to, like I say, I have to do a lot more research on this and see if there's any documented findings on Wahlbergs, and whether it's pairs that fight or whether it's individuals within the ranks that will chase one another out and form a new pair. But it's unusual, to say the least. Rebecca, they only mate once in a year, so they mate now, and then they have their young one, and their young one then obviously develops and then leaves here at the end of summer and then flies northwards. But they only breed once a year. At the end of the day, birds of prey, they're large, which means that they've got to incubate eggs for a while, and then the bird's got to learn how to fly, and that takes a bit of time. We know with vultures, it's pretty much almost a year and a half, just over half a year for them to kind of get them out the nest. And so it's the same thing with the Wahlberg's eagles. It takes about 3-4 months for those birds to get up and moving and flying and being able to look after themselves. And so it's only one chick in the summer months, and then they don't breed when they go to the northern hemisphere. They just breed down here in South Africa. But very odd. Nice to see them though. They are beautiful birds. Like I said, the pale form Wahlbergs are incredibly pretty. So nice to see them, and I'll try to get a little bit closer so we can get a bit of a closer view and see if we can get some sort of pattern on them that we can recognize them in the future, and whether or not they're individuals that will stay here. And maybe some of you that are very clever and can see some sort of pattern or recognize some sort of markings on the feathers can work out whether it's one of the birds we saw yesterday or it's a different pairing of birds. It's definitely not the lights. Now that I'm closer, they most certainly are pale form, both of them. They're all fluffed up, obviously, because it's cold. And I was saying that it's not good conditions for flying, and that's why you'll find both of them are down at the moment and just resting on the tree. And look at the size of those talons on their feet. And long rectangular tails that will help them to be able to stabilize in flight, because remember, these birds hunt other birds. They're birds that hunt on the wing regularly, and so long tails need just to help them be agile. It's much like a cheetah has a very long tail, and it helps just to be able to turn on a dime and be agile as they move around. And so that's why you see such a long tail in these guys. Beautiful though. Another mystery at Djuma. I'm not 100% sure why these two are here. Interesting, but either way. So I'm going to try get around and see something quickly, because where they're sitting is off the nest a little bit. That's much better. Now I've got no comms again, so there we go. I can just hear Megan every second word. It's getting worse, unfortunately, which is not good. Right, so we can quickly go across to Tayla because I've missed my link completely, so let's go to her.
Bridge. We're not going to go across into the reserve, into the Samara National Park. We're going to stay this side in the triangle. We just need to figure out whereabouts the wildebeest crossed. Now, I can't remember if Brent said they crossed on the eastern side of the, the eastern side of the bridge versus the western side of the bridge, but we'll have a quick look around. Hopefully we'll be able to find ourselves up on a vantage point of some sort and then use our binoculars and scan around. There are lots of buffalo herds around at the moment, which now I haven't seen any lions though, and plenty elephants around, although out here the lions haven't seemed to have acquired the taste for elephants. They prefer the wildebeest, zebra or warthog kind out here, and I suppose specifically warthog now. With most of the animals moving out of the triangle, they've got to go back to catching pigs. So we're just going to keep looking. As I keep reaching up on these rises, I'm starting to see the tree lines. So there must be little tributaries. We must be getting closer and closer to the Mara River. And hopefully we'll have some luck. It's going to be quite exciting out here if we can find some herds of wildebeest. I haven't really spent much time down the side. Brent has though. This is one of his favorite areas, and hopefully it'll become our favorite area too. But speaking of Brent, let's go back to him and see what his plans are for the rest of the evening.
Well, as you can see, our lions have decided it's much better to nap than do anything else. for the moment at least. Now, you've got to remember that patience is the most important thing when you're out in the bush, because you never know what's going to happen next. Unsuspecting warthog might come careering in. Unknown pride of lions might come careering in and cause absolute havoc. So sometimes we have to play the patience game and sit and wait for those incredible sightings. And not much else has changed. We've actually lost our elephants that were near us. They've moved off. The giraffe have disappeared. The only thing left is the Egyptian geese that are grazing comfortably out on that lovely short green grass where the little lugger empties out into the swamp. Oh, stretching. And I think we're going to lose them shortly as well, as they fly off to find somewhere to roost. Now, the one thing that a lot of people don't realize, that an Egyptian goose is not in fact a goose at all. It is a form of shield duck, is actually what they are. But they are grazers, so they eat grass, so you'll find them munching along on any lovely short green grass. Now, I've seen something quite amazing, and I've only ever seen it once, and it was here a few weeks ago, or probably maybe even a few months ago now, and that was an Egyptian goose eating the stomach contents of a wildebeest that had been killed by lions, and quite a fresh kill. So the geese were eating the undigested grass that was left behind. Now, being the vast open grassland that it is, these geese might not even fly off to find somewhere to roost. They might just stay right where they are. Ilana, who's 14 years old, would like to know, have we seen any aardvark in the Mara? Oh, I've seen about 4 or 5. And we actually did a Facebook Live once on lions hunting aardvark. And that was quite special. That's definitely not something you get to see every day. Lions hunting aardvark. And that was actually just over the horizon over there. And it was the Egyptian goose pride. And they nearly got that aardvark. He managed to get down the hole, and then while the young male was trying to dig him out, the aardvark was digging at a much faster rate and kicking sand into the male's face. It was quite funny. But yes, no, we've seen quite a few aardvark. I've seen on both sides of the river, in fact. I've also seen the other art that lives here, which is the aardwolf. I saw one of those way down south near the Tanzanian border. I've seen striped polecat or zorilla, which is an African form of skunk. I've seen hedgehogs. What else have we seen? Lots of funny little things at night. Caracal, serval. I've seen both side-striped and black-backed jackal, bat-eared fox, white-tailed mongoose, water mongoose. So I've seen quite a lot of the smaller nocturnal critters, genets, bush babies, the like. These lions are truly flat. As I said, they're reasonably well fed, not too skinny. And I was hoping that all the zebra around, which have now gone, might prompt them to do something. So we might take a little wander just now and then come back here a little later, because it really doesn't look like these guys are going anywhere too soon. Wind is starting to pick up, but fortunately not bringing any rain towards us just yet. Well, we've got a new viewer who named Dakota, who is 15 years old. A big welcome to you, Dakota. Lovely to have you on the vehicle with us. And Dakota wants to know, how do we get so close to the lions. Well, Dakota, when we're in a vehicle, the lions don't know that there are people here. They do not have an evolutionary instinctive response to the vehicle. So the vehicle's only been around for just over 100 years. So if you drive carefully and considerately, it doesn't smell like anything nice to eat. It's too big, really, and they just ignore you after time. But it does take time to habituate them to vehicles. But if I were to get out of the car and start walking, we would definitely get a reaction. Now, it is still light, so they would probably run away. So lions are actually quite scared of people during the daytime hours, but at night they become a different animal, and they are the dominant nocturnal predator, and we are the dominant diurnal predator. So they'll eat us at night, but normally, unless you corner or put pressure on cubs or an injured lion during the day, they will try and move away from you on foot. That's why we can get very close to them in vehicles, because they don't recognize a vehicle when they recognize the human shape as the dominant daytime predator. Now, something we've got quite used to here is ominous skies. They seem to be around every evening since I've been back from leave, but it sounds like Tristan has got an ominous sky of his own all the way back in South Africa.
No, not really, Brenty. It's not too bad. Like I say, this morning it was ominous, and this morning there was big dark clouds, and it really did look like we were going to get some rain at some point, and we got a few droplets here and there, but nothing too major, so it wasn't too bad this morning. But I would imagine now it's starting to separate out, and I think that's the end of the rain for us. The more I look up, the less likely it looks that we're going to get any more rain, and the fact that the wind's dropping and there's really no solid bank that's being gusted in by the wind means that I think we're done for the day, unfortunately, because remember, we'd love to have more rain. We need it. And I'm looking very carefully, because this is the area where I had those tracks for that young male leopard that was moving, and I had lots of alarm calls in this section, so I'm just checking very carefully as I'm going in case little Tumba is maybe somewhere in this general vicinity as well and just hiding out. We know he likes it in this area, so just having a look around, checking some of the termite mounds and some of the trees. And he doesn't seem to be a cat that spends much time in the trees. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen him in a tree. Have I? No, I don't think so. I don't think I've seen him in trees, but I've seen him on lots of termite mounds and in lots of riverbeds. So he seems to favor this Mulawati system. Maybe as a young individual, it's just more comfortable for him to be down there. It's interesting that I haven't seen him in a tree before. It's actually quite crazy when I think about it. Given how many sightings I've had of him, I would have thought that at some point I would have had him up a tree, but so far, no. Or have I? No, I don't think so. I'm trying to rack my brains, but I honestly don't think I've ever seen him up in a tree. But I think we are going to get a nice sunset. It looks as though the clouds are breaking on the western side, and a little bit of color starting to creep in that side, so hopefully we will get a good sunset. I'm just making my way towards Twin Dams as I go along, and like I said, I was looking for Tumba as we go, but our main goal is to get back to where I had Hosana this morning and see if he's sitting in the same place. I would imagine he is. I don't think he's going to have gone too far. He's an individual that once he's at Twin Dams generally spends the afternoon fairly relaxed and sleepy and doesn't actually move around too much, so I would guess he's going to be there. Whether or not he is well, going to be all revealed in the next 2 minutes. So, George, you wondering what happened with Tumba and Husana the other night when they faced off and what the outcome was? Well, George, it seems both of them just split amicably. We lost them fairly soon after the drive finished, so I was looking and I was trying, and unfortunately they went into a really dense thicket and there was just no way to keep up with them given how fast they started moving. They were kind of trotting after each other, and so I lost them with that regard, but they seem fine. Both have been seen since. I've seen both of them. Neither one is sporting a scar, a scrape, a scratch, any sort of limp. So I think what happened was Tumba ran into a thicket. Husana lost him completely. And the two of them then just kind of split amicably, and that was the end of it. There was no major threat in it. And given that they neither one is territorial yet, I don't think they're going to go after each other. Right. Where are you, little Hosana? I don't see him anywhere though. He's not where we left him this morning. No, where are you? So he's not here where we left him. He was just on the left hand side when we left him this morning. Just trying to check for him. Where have you gone? Maybe he's lying on the other side of the damn wall. Or is he in front here somewhere? Interesting. Well, we're going to have to scratch around and check for him, but I don't see him anywhere. Oh, there he is. He's sitting right in front of us. If he was a snake, as they say, he would have bitten me. So I'll just try and get down a little bit. But he is fast asleep at the moment. And he's in his usual spot that he seems to favor, which is just along the edge of the banks here and on the wall itself. I don't know why he likes it so much there, but he seems as though this is where he wants to spend his time. It was exactly the same place a few weeks ago, or a few days ago. He was lying really in the same way, just on the edge, and you can see he's still very relaxed. How we've missed him from far away, I have no idea. It just shows you their camouflage, because I was looking at the dam wall and I didn't see him until we got a little bit closer, and that's where he's sitting, just resting, and he looks fast asleep at the moment. But you can see no scratches on him anywhere on the rump area, so it seems as though him and Tumba just had a little face-off, investigated each other, a few snarls and hisses and growls, and to say, you're not my brother, you're not my relative, and I'm going to move on, and off I go. It was such an interesting interaction though between the two of them, because Tumba seemed to just really not care at all. He kind of saw Hosana approaching and just carried on drinking, and then once Hosana got really close, then he started to display a bit submissively and kind of lie on his side and growl and hiss and show his teeth. But otherwise they weren't too aggressive to one another. There was a bit of sniffing going on, and then they kind of chased each other around. So I think they're still in that young phase where they're not quite sure how to handle those interactions when they see one another, and when things get a little bit sort of hairy, and they just do what they're used to doing, which is chuffing and being submissive and keeping themselves alive that way. So it'll all change though once they start scent marking, and once they start to go into that adult phase and testosterone is flooding. Then you'll find that they'll be far more aggressive to any opponent that they face. It might not be each other, but they will end up having to face off with some males somewhere, and you'll find that interaction will be a lot more aggressive and a lot more teeth and claws and all kinds of other things as they try and defend a territory or gain a territory first before they're defending anything. Some males have it easy. Some are like Quarantine, where he just bosses his way in, doesn't have to really fight with anybody. He just calls and scent marks, and there he is in position and has himself a territory. Others have to fight for it and earn the right to be territorial, and that takes a bit of time and effort, and so it's interesting just how the differences work between some of them. And so hopefully for Hosana and Tumba, I really hope either one of them that they get a nice territory and they don't actually have to worry about fighting too much, and they can get nice and settled and get big before they then actually start competing with other males. So that's what I hope. Chatnoir, you say such a beautiful cat. Hosana is beautiful. He's looking ever prettier. I think he's starting to lose the cub look, but he's starting to gain that sort of steely male look that they get, the more serious look. But he's got a nice coloured coat. I always liked Hosana's coat. It's a yellowy colour, and it's not as gold as what you see on Tumba. Tumba tends to have a darker gold colour than what Hosana does, but I like the colour of his coat, and he's got these eyes that are becoming more vibrant by day, and He is a joy to watch, and lately he's been endearing himself a lot more to all of us by the way that he's played around and messed around and done his thing. He's been very entertaining to watch, that's for sure. I remember him the other day with the stick that he had in his mouth, and he was playing with the stick and biting it, and so he is a very cool cat. And like I say, wherever he ends up, hopefully it is in this area, but if it's not, somebody is going to inherit a very, very special little chief in their area, and hopefully he'll become the big chief somewhere close by, and if not here, so that we can monitor him and know where he goes and what he gets up to. Because it's the worst thing about having young males is that kind of invest all this time and you get so sort of emotionally attached to them, and then they shift off, and especially when they go into places like Kruger, and the sightings and the updates on them become so slim and few and far between that it's almost frustrating in a way, because you want to know how they're doing and want to know how they're progressing. And so it's nice when they end up inside a Sabi Sand system or a Timbavati system where there's a lot of the commercial lodges that have constant updates on them. It really makes it a lot better and a lot easier for us to kind of know, okay, well, they're doing all right wherever they are. And I think that's the hardest part. We know Mishu and Duna, Shavambalana, all of those have dispersed into Kruger, and the sort of updates on them are very few and far between. There's one every now and then, but it's not exactly commonplace to see them. It's not like now with Hosana that we see him probably have some sort of update on him every day. If we're not seeing him, we know exactly where he is, or somebody else is seeing him on another property, so we can work out exactly what's going on. But look at the size of that massive front paw. It's getting bigger, and that head as well starting to get a little bit of a dewlap forming. You can see his skin is starting to hang a little bit from the chin. So he is growing and slowly but surely becoming the male that he needs to be. And so while we watch Hosana, let's go back to Brent with his lionesses and see what they're up to.